And I'll call this meeting of the UPTV Commission to order at 12:05 p.m. on January 8th, 2020, special session of the Urbana Public Television Commission. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Fuller.
Present.
Commissioner Inskeep.
Present.
Commissioner Sender.
Present.
Commissioner Schultz.
Present.
Chair Folk.
Present.
And Commissioner Polk let me know that she'd be unable to attend. She's out of town on business.
All right. Approval of minutes of the previous meeting. Does anyone have any comments on the June 14th or December 13th minutes?
I move we approve.
Second.
Any opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. Oh, we have a quorum, right?
We do have a quorum, correct?
Awesome. And was that for both sets of minutes?
Yes, I move we approve both sets of minutes.
Okay, does the seconder?
Second.
Okay. And I'll just ask again, any opposed? Okay. Both sets of minutes are approved. Moving on to correspondence. Did we have any correspondence between the last?
We did not have any correspondence since the last meeting.
And I guess staff report?
Yeah, I'll be brief. Just a couple of things. As I previously mentioned in an email to the Commission, we are set to present about the feasibility of a new public access channel to the Urbana City Council. That will be Tuesday, January 21st at 7 o'clock p.m. right here in the City Council chambers. I also wanted to make a note just yesterday, AWARE, which is the anti-war, anti-racism effort of Champaign-Urbana. They've been producing AWARE on the air for a number of years. They filmed their 500th episode yesterday. So that is our longest running studio show. Their first episode, I went back and looked it up, first aired February 19th, 2008. So they've been at it for just about 12 years now here at UPTV. That's all I had for a staff report.
Just to, as a summary of your report to council, are you prepared to give us an idea of what your report will contain?
It pretty much contains what I reported to the UPTV Commission on December 13th. Over the last several months, we met with organizations, although there was some interest from those organizations to take on operating a new public access channel. We didn't receive any proposals from those organizations. So as we move forward with the budget cycle for fiscal year 21, we'll have two options: an option financially supporting public access and an option eliminating public access.
Okay. So the purpose of this meeting then is more or less to draft a statement for that. Well, I guess we'll get to that in new business. So we do have some audience. Would they like to participate at this time, or would you like to wait until the discussion happens? Okay. Oh, you did want to participate now. Okay, go ahead.
I guess there's the option of waiting until after we discuss the draft letter.
Well, I think I'd rather do it beforehand.
Okay.
First of all, I want to thank you for having this meeting on behalf of the Urbana community. I know you're very busy people. I don't want to reiterate what I talked about several weeks ago in terms of the financial UPTV's financial budget, its revenue and expenditures. You have that information. And I don't want to touch upon any issues that respond to the importance of UPTV to the community and the value and role that it plays within the community. I think you are well aware of the importance of that. What I would like to very quickly react to is, I understand part of the issue is the city is looking at its finances as a whole as a city, and it's looking at what it calls a structural deficit. And I applaud the city, because too many cities and governmental bodies do not take their financial responsibilities seriously. But I don't know if you noticed in the Sunday paper, you know, the City of Urbana and the City of Champaign printed their fiscal year financial reports and made them known to the public. And I found fiscal year 2019, the city's budget quite interesting in light of the conversation that you might have with the city council. And if I might, I would just like to highlight the ending 2019 city budget. And it'll only take a second because there's a couple of numbers I would just like to refer to. One is the the revenues and receipts received by the city were $32,305,708 in the general fund, and then they list basically six other funds, all of which carried a positive balance in terms of what the revenue was. And then the next section was disbursements and expenditures. The disbursements were $30,168,000 in the general fund, and it lists the disbursements in each of the other six funds. In conclusion, basically, they state that the city of Urbana last year, the general fund finished $2,434,722 in the positive. And I think only two funds showed a deficit. One was for $98,000, and that particular, I don't know exactly what fund that would be. It was Enterprise, whatever that fund is. And the other fund that had deficit spending was $96,000, and that was discretely presented component units, whatever that fund refers to. But I think the important item is that the city's fiscal summary for 2019 is over $2 million in the positive. And I think that's a direct result of course, actions the city council has taken in the past in terms of cutting staff and maybe consolidating resources and looking at ways to save taxpayer money. I'm not sure what the city's ultimate goal is in terms of when it feels it will have addressed the structural deficit that it feels it faces, but I think it's important to recognize in your statement, in the context of this past year, the city finished with a over $2 million positive budget. The UPTV fund, or I should say, basically the franchise fee and the PEG fee, provided the city of Urbana over $500,000 in revenue. So if the city is wrestling with basically how it's funding UTPD in its budget through its PEG fund rather than its franchise fee, it may have some internal problems in terms of how that looks on the books and how that will be accounted for, but certainly that appears to be something the city staff can address without reducing public access, because the city has shown a positive fiscal year that just ended, and it also has still a positive source of revenue for UPTV. So I'd just like to share that city budget with you. In the end of fiscal year 2019 is a very positive note, and maybe the city council should be applauded for that, but hopefully they don't take the scalpel to things they don't need to when they have a revenue flow and they have a surplus, and we're looking at only a $2,000 deficit basically in UPTV's budget. Thank you.
Did the other audience members want to participate at this time? Okay. Moving on to unfinished business, which there is none, I gather. And then the new business is to draft a statement for the council meeting that Jason referred to, basically a sense of the commission, either a general statement about UPTV to the city council, or something specific about the public access component of that, or both. And so with Jason's help, Jason definitely helped kick this off, and I appreciate his work. But we have this kind of draft of a statement. In the final version, I will probably do it as PowerPoint so the statement will be a letter, and then in addition, when I come up, I'll present it as a presentation. But this is specifically the public access, addressing the public access issue. Did you guys all? Oh, it's here. Great. So this is a draft, and the point of this meeting is to go through it and figure out what to change and what we want to say in the end.
I'd just like to comment that overall I was in agreement with your draft memo. I think it would be prudent to include the city budget, which Durrell made reference to earlier. I think that's a very positive thing and should be taken into consideration.
So there's a section here where we talk about, we understand the financial constraints of the city's budget, but feel the reductions in staffing at UPTV during fiscal year 2020 have already created a sustainable solution. I hesitate to quote the exact things that Durrell mentioned because I feel like the city financial people have a much deeper understanding of what it means to have a structural deficit for the city, and what the fact that I'm sure that if they were really $2 million in the black and ready to send, refund checks to all the citizens, we would have heard about that. It's probably a different kind of in the black than but at least I, on a more simplistic basis, would understand. So I hesitate to use the specific numbers there, but I do think that $2 million in the black is partially contributed to by this. Would you like to would you want to highlight the specific amount that was saved, or point to that number somehow?
I think it would just be appropriate to point out that the city did have a surplus according to what was published in the paper.
Okay.
Yeah. Not without reference to specific numbers.
Okay. I can add that.
I think it would be great for others of us to also write individual letters. I hope to write something specifically too. I think you raise a lot of really good points, and it might strengthen to have others of us write support letters as well that raise other issues.
Okay. Would it make sense to also have other names on this other than just mine?
Yes,
So-
I think so.
Yeah.
I would co-sign anything you write.
Okay. All right. Power.
And just a question on the last paragraph, we suggest, that's very polite and diplomatic. We request, we ask that the council, are we requesting or asking, or are we making a suggestion?
You could recommend.
Recommend? Okay, maybe something along the recommending lines.
Okay.
Suggestion, in my mind, is more of a passive word of communication, so
Okay.
that's all I have. And the rest of the statement looks excellent.
The only other concern I have is that a compromised position that puts a heavier burden on staff without adequate funding is a concern of mine, that they might come back just, again, overloading staff rather than funding something adequately. And I think we want to really strongly critique that approach.
So my understanding is that the proposal that that staff will be giving is to add an 18-hour production intern. What are you going to call that? What would you call that position?
Production assistant.
Production assistant position that will basically take a substantial burden that currently is on Jason and Jake, and move all of the public access parts of their jobs into that position, all the public access specific parts of the job into that position, and thereby it will bring Jason's job back down to a sane workload and not increase it further. So that is my understanding of what the proposal will be for funding, for continuing to provide public access. And my understanding is that the cost of that, the incremental cost versus the other stuff that they're going to have to do anyway to have government meetings and that kind of thing on there, is quite small. They weren't comfortable with me sharing the number right now, but it sounds like it will be when they have finalized that number and they're putting it in their budget requests. It's a relatively small number that should be something that they can swallow, given the amount of value that if we can make the case that the value is high. Does that help at all?
Yeah, as I say, I just have watched how these things play out, and often the compromise position ends up being, we'll just give you half of what you ask for. And I just don't, I want to be sure we're anticipating that might be a response, but I don't know that it will be.
We could put something in here that our understanding is that the UPTV staff has put together a very conservative request that would, or has plans to put forward a conservative request for funding that is right at the that funds public access adequately, but is extremely responsible with public funds. And we encourage the council to provide that level of funding as will be requested by staff. Does that seem good? Love that these are recorded so I don't have to write stuff down. I can go back and watch it. I don't look forward to watching it, actually. I hate watching myself, but
Does an announcement about this go out on UPTV, that this is an issue that's going to be coming up at the city council, or is there any way also to further raise it in the public sphere so that people who might want to make a statement or respond to their city council member could do so?
Well, certainly anyone who follows the city council and has regular contact with their council members, they'll either see the agenda or they have regular, conversations with their council member. As far as the UPTV members and member producers, they'll receive an email. I was waiting until after this meeting so I could, in addition to notifying them that the council meeting will be on the 21st, also send them this letter to know the thoughts of the UPTV Commission. And the ways that, if they wanted to provide input, you can certainly come to the council meeting if you want to provide input in person, or you can write your council member or write all the council members. Their emails are on the website. In fact, their phone numbers are on the website. So if you wanted to contact your own council member, they're able to do that as well. Yeah.
I'll probably ask you to word that a little more strongly. We would really encourage them to do that and hope that they can come to the meeting, because I think there's only 7 chairs across. If we could get a row filled with producers, I think that would be fun. think that would make a nice statement. We could fill 2 rows with, if we had a really good turnout on producers, I think. Any other thoughts about things that the commission would like to put in this statement?
Do we need a formal motion to direct you?
Probably.
Okay. I move that we direct Chair Folk to adopt the draft statement as written, including the suggestion to make reference to the city surplus as noted in the News Gazette article. Note that it is a conservative and responsible request we are making, and in the last paragraph, change suggest to request. Recommend. Recommend.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. So, all right, that's approved. And this is a short and sweet meeting. Any commissioners' comments?
May I comment?
Sure,
This is
go ahead.
ex officio. I just want to say I thought the tone of this letter was spot on in terms of its positivity. There is like a total absence of whininess in this. And I appreciate Durrell's mention of applauding the city council's efforts in reorganizing the city budget to overcome the structural deficits. And, it was in that spirit that we voluntarily reduced the budget this year to be part of that citywide. But I just think that positive tone is a great one to strike. So I think it's very well written.
Okay. Having no other business on the agenda, our next regularly scheduled meeting is March 13th, 2020 at noon in these Urbana City Council chambers, but there is another special meeting, specifically the Urbana City Council meeting on January 21st. Is that what it was?
That's correct. Tuesday, the 21st, Urbana City Council.
At 7 p.m. here. It's a special meeting so that if more than 2 of us want to show up, we can. So that's why it's
As a
also
special meeting of the commission.
a special meeting of the commission as well as a meeting of the.
What we generally do in those cases is we just send out a media notice that that item is on the agenda, and there may be more than one commission or more than 2 commissioners in attendance.
Okay. That being said, and us having no other items, this meeting is adjourned.